Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Snackbox. Hope you all are having an amazing day, guys. We have some new info regarding the new content, Grim Forest. We have new info about, new relics, a new gear set, an amazing new gear set, also very amazing relics. And we're gonna jump right into it in a few seconds. I just want to point a few things out where people were a little bit confused. So Plarium posted this on the official rate Discord in the announcements channel. And here you can see, the map of the Grim Forest with the fog around the stages. You probably enter right here, right? That's the camp. And then you, I don't know, beat the stages and, clear the fog and then move on to other stages and so on. There's nothing really here that you can do, right? There's nothing really here. There's just, what it's going to look like. That's what it's going to look like. And then there's this timer here. So a lot of people thought this timer is the timer for the new content when it gets released, and I was thinking it too at first, but that would be crazy, right? I don't think they're gonna pull it off that fast. We probably can expect it in the next couple of weeks, something like that, but it's definitely not gonna be in 2 days, right? So that's just a timer for when the next fog will, or like when we see the next stages, right? When the fog will clear up, basically. And then we also had just now another announcement on the official raid Discord, and it was this right here. So this is what it's gonna look like for Grim Forest. That's, how you choose your champions. You basically have a deck where you can choose or select champions, and then this is where it gets interesting. Before you venture into the Grim Forest, you must fill 2 team decks with your best champions to create a squad. Every battle in this game mode will begin by drawing random champions from these decks. You can only build your team to take on a specific stage from their number. Not quite sure what the last part means here, but apparently, for the normal difficulty, for example, you can choose 2 decks or build 2 decks, if you want to say so, team 1 and team 2, and then if you hit a stage, the stage is probably gonna draw 5 champions out of this pool. So if you have, like, I don't know, all support champions in there, you might end up with 5 support champions, which is bad, right? You don't really want that, right? You want to have a fully balanced team, basically, with some crowd control, damage dealer, support, reviver, and so on. So yeah, I don't know how to feel about this feature, but that's how it's gonna be. So 2 decks for each difficulty. For the normal difficulty, you will have 10 champions that you can select, and then on the hard difficulty, this is where it gets really interesting, because here we have to pick 20 champions per deck. So that means 40 champions in total. That is a huge amount of champions that you have to build up, right? That's not going to be easy. And yeah, you really have to have strong champions here that can do multiple things, right? Champions like a nice Siegfried and so on that can revive, but also deal damage. Those champions will definitely shine in this, new content. But also, I asked if you can use dupes here, and the answer was yes, you can. And that should make it a little bit easier for people that have the same champion that is good multiple times. It brings a little bit of value to dupes, right? So yeah, now we got those 2 things out of the way. As I said, I'm not quite sure what the last part means. You can only build your team to take on a specific stage from their number. Does it mean team 1 and team 2? I have no idea, but I guess we will find out soon. So yeah, let's talk about the new gear set, which is absolutely busted. Okay, it is absolutely insane. There we go. The new Grim Forest artifact set, which is called Mercurial, okay? 1-piece set bonus, 20 resistance, 2-piece set bonus, 15 HP, 3-piece set bonus, 8% speed. Not so good, but so far the stats are okay-ish, I guess. And then this is where it gets really interesting. I think this is gonna be a massive power creep. If you can farm this set, you will have a massive advantage against other people that don't have this set, okay? In PvP. I'm talking PvP strictly. This is definitely a pure PvP set. 4-piece bonus grants the wearer 1 total guard stack at the start of the round. Each stack blocks all incoming damage and any associated effects. Yes, you heard it right. This is pretty much Stone Skin 2.0. It is busted, okay? Just from imagining how it will perform in PvP. This is crazy, okay? And I'm going to explain to you exactly how those total guard stacks work. There's a mechanic to it, obviously, and we're going to talk about it. But let's keep reading the bonuses, okay? So 5-piece bonus is 12% speed. That is pretty good. That evens out 8% a little bit on a 3-piece bonus. 6-piece bonus grants you 2 total guard stacks. Then on a 7-piece bonus, we get another 20 resistance, 12% speed on an 8-piece bonus. Also very nice to have that. And then this is also where it gets really, really interesting with the 9-piece bonus. Grants the wearer 3 total guard stacks. And there's an additional effect now. Also places a total guard stack at the start of this champion's turn, right? If they have no total guard stack. So every time this champion will take a turn, he will get one guard stack, right? And if you don't remove it and he takes another turn, he will have 2. So this is insane. And the reason why it is insane is because now, now you have this total guard stack, which is, pretty much blocking anything. Let's go and read it. So the total guard buff will block any single instance of damage. So it's basically block damage. And all status effects a champion receives from an enemy skill. All status effects, everything, right? It is like intercept, block damage, it doesn't matter. It blocks everything. A champion can receive multiple stacks of the total guard buff. Each total guard stack will block a single instance of damage from an enemy champion's skill. It will also block any associated effects such as debuffs, okay, bombs, poisons, stuns, everything, including guaranteed and unresistible debuffs. It doesn't matter if you have unresistible debuffs, you would just block it. Destroy max HP effects. We don't have to worry about that. Equalize HP effects. Nope. Swap HP effects. Nope. Debuff spread effects. Nope. Decrease or equalize terminal effects. No, we don't care about that. Instant activation of poison or HP burn debuffs. It doesn't matter. And polymorph debuffs as well. So another counter to polymorph, which is absolutely needed. That is a big one, and I think a lot of arena heads out there will be happy about this polymorph block. As long as a champion has at least 1 total guard stack, they will be immune to all negative effects except increased cooldown. Okay, so you can actually increase the cooldown, on skills, from champions that have this set, but that's fine. And even from skills that do not inflict damage, so it doesn't have to be a hit, right? It's pretty much the skill, right? It's not a hit that triggers this or that the total guard buff is blocking, it's the skill itself. So pretty cool, right? A champion will lose a stack of total guard whenever they would take damage from another champion's skill. This includes damage taken via ally protection buffs, reflect damage buffs, as well as passive skills that share or reflect damage. A champion will not lose a stack of total guard when they take damage from masteries, blessings, or relics. Pretty interesting part here, right? So every time they take 1 damage or more, 1 guard stack will be removed. So that means, triple hitters can remove those guard stacks pretty quickly. If a champion is under both total guard and block damage when they receive damage from an enemy champion's skill, they will lose a stack of total guard. If a champion takes damage that is reduced to 0 by another champion's passive, they will lose a stack of total guard. So, you will always lose a stack of total guard first, which is good. Otherwise, it would be too OP. Now, one thing that, works here from asking, we ask them, can you remove this buff? No, you can't, right? You cannot remove or you can't strip total guard buff. Can you decrease the buff duration of it? Yes, you can. So a Fabian becomes amazing, against this set. A Marius becomes amazing against this set. Everybody that is decreasing buff durations will be good against this set. At the same time, also multi-hitters, right? Every time you hit a champion with a skill, or not even hit, right? You only have to deal damage. Then it will also remove 1 stack of total guard. Now, considering that you can decrease the buff duration, you cannot increase the buff duration with your team, right? Of the guard stack. So that is not possible. You cannot do this, and you can't spread the buff. All right. So it is pretty much like an intercept. So yeah, pretty insane power creep, if you ask me. A lot of things will change once this artifact set enters the arena. That is my prediction, right? And I don't think it's unrealistic. All right, so that's the set. Now we're gonna get to the relics. That's another fun part, to be honest. Pretty cool relics. We have the rare ones right here. The Steel-Eyed Cutter. It's a rare relic, and the wearer has a 20% chance to ignore 5% of an enemy's defense when attacking. Pretty nice relic. It's just a small chance, but if you take it to level 4, you have a 35% chance to ignore defense. Kind of okay. Can boost your damage a little bit. Nothing crazy, and not super impactful, but it can definitely help early or mid game. It's just some extra damage, something slight. Right, so the next rare relic, Porter's Cauldron. Wearer has a 20% chance to ignore 10% of the target's resistance when applying debuffs. So another RNG factor, kind of a similar thing to this one, just instead of the def ignore, you have the resistance ignore, which is also not bad, but you can't really rely on this because it's a relatively low chance. So I wouldn't say this is more interesting than this one. I think this one is much better, in my opinion. Now, here we go for the epics. Compass of Anaxia. Whenever the wearer is under a crowd control debuff, all turn meter fill effects increase the wearer's turn meter by an additional 20%. So when he's stunned, frozen, asleep or something, then his turn meter will increase faster. So he, gets rid of the debuff and then takes a turn faster. Can be pretty cool. There are a lot of situations where you get stun locked and stuff like that. So that could be cool right there, but not quite sure. I wouldn't, it's an epic relic. That's okay. I don't think it's that great, but I guess it's okay. Could be maybe helpful in some situations for, PvE. Maybe. Not quite sure. Revolting Seedling. Whenever the wearer receives damage, has a 20% chance to heal themselves by 20%. So this one is pretty interesting, right? The effect chance can be upped, right? Let's take it to level 4, then it's a 35% chance again. And the heal by 20% can be a lot. So this could help to solo some stuff, right? If you're struggling with soloing dungeons, this could help, right? Now, the legendary ones. This is where it starts getting interesting. So for one, we have Soulmaw Crystal, a legendary relic. Once per round, wearer has a 50% chance activating an instant turn effect when one or more allies are killed, and this can be up to 100% chance. So that means if you have a reviver and you build him very, very slow, for example, or your other champions die, he will get an instant turn and he can revive. Pretty interesting relic, right? But the thing is, you have one proc in a fight, right? So in general, this could be quite interesting. For a legendary relic, this is pretty good, in my opinion. Unfortunately, we don't see the stats here, and we also don't see the gemstone shapes that fit in there. But I would assume that this Solmar Crystal will have something like resistance. At least I hope. Okay. Then we have Spore Burst Rod. Whenever the wearer places a poison or bomb debuff, has a 10% chance of placing a second debuff for 2 turns. Only counts debuffs placed by active skills. So if you have a bomb champion and you are placing bombs, for every bomb that you are placing, you will get an additional chance to place another bomb. So you can theoretically place 4 bombs, right? With most of the bomb champions, for example, a Nishak, a Commodus, they place 2 bombs, and they will have, if this relic is maxed out, they will have another 35% chance to place another bomb, which is kind of insane, right? That's a lot of damage. And keep in mind, champions with the new set, you can place bombs on them, but they won't take that extra damage that they would take when they have Stone Skin on. So I think this is kind of a relic to balance that a little bit out. Not quite sure, but it seems like it. But yeah, pretty interesting relic. Now, would I prefer this over a wand, for example? Not so sure. Maybe. It depends. So yeah, interesting legendary relics, but now we are going into the main event. This is what a lot of people been waiting for, okay? For one, we have the Coronet of Gloom. When all the wearer's allies are dead, places a block damage on the wearer for 1 turn, has a 10% chance of placing this buff when a single ally dies. So this is almost a, Siegfried passive, right? Something like that. And you have a 35% chance to place block damage on the wearer when an ally dies. I think if you have this on a reviver again, this can be really, really good, right? And this is now the one that everybody's going to be after. The Lens of Intangibility. I hope I'm saying this right. I don't know. Maybe I completely destroyed this name. But yeah. So the wearer ignores 10% of a target's defense. Straight, flat, no condition whatsoever. You're straight going to ignore 10% defense, okay? At the start of a round, places a perfect veil buff on the wearer for 2 turns, while on the veil or perfect veil, the wearer ignores an additional 5%. Insane. This is incredible for PvP, for PvE, for Chimera. You have a relic that gives you perfect veil. That means you don't have to bring perfect veil into Chimera. And on top of that, you're also ignoring a lot of defense. And we all know Chimera, for example, has a lot of defense, especially on the ramp form. And that's exactly where you need the perfect veil. So this relic is like, it looks like it's made for this, right? And it also has this Cat's Gaze 2.0 vibe, right? Just the mythical version and a much better version. And people will love this, okay? I love it already because look, you get this 10% death ignore straight away. It doesn't matter. You don't have to touch it. You don't have to upgrade it whatsoever. If you max it out, you will get another 15 death ignore. That's 25 death ignore. That's like a savage set on a relic. And it's not a condition there, right? You will get the 25 death ignore from this relic, no matter what, if you max it out. And then if you are under perfect veil, you will get an additional 5%. So that's 30%. So that means if you have this relic right here, you can get really close to ignoring 100% death on the Chimera. Really close, okay? Also depends on what gemstones we can fit in here. There is a gemstone which is conditional, but that's cool. That can, where you ignore additional 3%. That's a triangular one. So if the pierce defenses, I think that's what it's called. So if you can fit this like 2-3 times in there, we are very close to hitting the 100% death ignore, and this is pretty insane. I think everybody will try to get this mythical relic, which will probably be very hard to do. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much all that I have for you now. That's all we know so far. I'm pretty hyped about this. There's some, especially this mythical relic and the new set. Pretty curious how it's going to affect the current game. I think it will definitely shake up the arena meta a lot. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about all of this, the new relics, the new set? How is it going to impact the game? And also, if you have some questions, feel free to ask, and I'll redirect them to Plarium and see if I can get an answer. So yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please hit that like button. It really goes a long way. Also, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more raid content. The YouTube algorithm's gonna suggest you a video that you might like right here, and see you in the next one.